Hello anime and manga fans, I'm Kyle Glockner, and welcome to this spooky episode of Animanga. Today, I thought I'd take on one of the great horror anime that I've watched over my time as an anime fan, but there aren't really any great horror anime. If I'm being honest, horror is one of the genres that I don't think anime does very well at all. I mean, sure, there's a couple good series, but A Diamond in the Rough doesn't say much for the medium as a whole. However, there is one show in particular that I believe captures just how well anime can do horror when it gets it right. So today, I'll be talking about one of my favorite horror anime, Elfen Lied. Elfen Lied tells us the story of Lucy, a unique being known as a Diclonius who escapes from a high-security imprisonment or experimentation facility all by herself. Upon escape, she gets shot in the helmet over her head, which causes her to lose her memories and revert to a much more innocent and childlike personality, Niu. Now, I could go on and on about how much I love the story of this show, the characters, the setting, etc. But for this episode, I want to look at what this series gets right in the way of horror, and what I believe other shows can take away from Elfen Lied. One of the things I've noticed in horror anime is that they don't usually do a good job of blending what I consider the two elements of horror, the suspense and the surprise, with most of the problems being in how the show handles suspense. See, a lot of shows have the issue of either building up too much suspense without a good payoff, or throwing the scare at you without any proper buildup, which can work in the case of a good jump scare, but doesn't have a lasting effect overall. I feel that Elfen Lied finds a great balance between suspense and surprise. There's a genuine fear when you see Lucy for the first time, bound within her 2-meter containment area. This turns into a legitimate panic when that first guard slips up and accidentally helps her escape. This fear and panic make you feel downright uncomfortable as you see the innocent Niu, knowing what she has done and could do in her right mind, and that's not to mention the influence the other characters have on these feelings. That genuinely uncomfortable disconnect between the feelings when I knew Lucy was on screen versus when I saw Niu are part of what made me so invested in the show in the first place. Elfen Lied does a great job of making you sympathize with Niu, but doesn't let you forget what a monster Lucy is, while also framing the story in such a way that you start to see things from Lucy's perspective, and does a fantastic job of making you sympathize with her as you learn about her past trauma. Now, unfortunately, Elfen Lied's anime production began while the manga was still ongoing, and thus was forced to end early against series producer Mamoru Kanbei's wishes. Unlike most series that go for an original ending, however, Elfen Lied doesn't stray too far from the path laid down by the manga, as the last episode is really the only one different. The anime covers almost exactly half of the chapters in the Elfen Lied manga, which uses its remaining chapters to further expand upon a lot of the questions that may have come up while watching the anime, as well as trying to tie a lot of the loose ends together. Going back to the whole horror aspect, the manga does a great job of further reinforcing the creepy vibe this story carries with it by not only exploring the Diclonius situation in greater depth, but also raising the general stakes of the series in general, as you might expect from the climax of a story. But the way Elfen Lied builds itself up gives you a genuine sense of uncertainty as to who will win in the end, which is a feeling I rarely have while reading a manga or watching anime. Overall, Elfen Lied is a great show if you're looking for something pretty intense with a creepy vibe to it. It was directed by Mamoru Kanbei and animated by Studio Arms. It's probably one of my favorite older shows, and if you like it, check out where the story goes in the manga. But that's all the time I have for today, so let me know what you think by tweeting me at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag Animanga. Until then, I'm Kyle Glockner, and this has been Animanga.